Hello everyone, and welcome to Criminal Chronicles, where we delve into the most baffling cases that have stumped investigators for years. Today, we're looking at a story that feels like it airs straight out of a Hollywood spy thriller. But I assure you, it's all too real. It's the chilling and perplexing case of Ricky McCormick, a man whose unexplained death left behind one of the most cryptic clues in the history of modern crime. 2 handwritten notes filled with a code that to this day no one has been able to decipher. Our story begins on June 30th, 1999 in St. Louis, Missouri. A woman driving along a rural field road in St. Charles County made a grim discovery. The body of a man was found in a cornfield, already in a state of decomposition. The scene was puzzling. There were no obvious signs of a struggle, no weapon, and no clear cause of death. The body was later identified as 41-year-old Ricky McCormick. Ricky was known to have some health issues, including chronic heart and lung problems. He was also a high school dropout and had a criminal record, but nothing that would suggest he was involved in something that would lead to his mysterious end in a remote field. He was last seen alive 5 days earlier at a hospital in St. Louis, about 15 miles from where his body was found. How did he get there? He didn't own a car and the area wasn't serviced by public transport. The initial investigation stalled. His death was officially ruled as undetermined, but the circumstances were highly suspicious. For 12 long years, the case went cold. It seemed like just another tragic, unsolved death. But in 2011, the story took a dramatic turn. The FBI, in a surprising move, went public with a plea for help. They released 2 small, crumpled pieces of paper that were found in Ricky McCormick NS pockets on the day he was discovered. These papers contained lines of seemingly random letters, numbers, and symbols, all written in a frantic, almost chaotic hand. The FBI's Cryptanalysis and Racketeering Records Unit, some of the best codebreakers in the world, had been working on these notes for over a decade without any success. They had tried every known method, every cryptographic technique, but the notes remained a complete enigma. They called them the McCormick ciphers. The FBI believed that these notes weren't just random scribbles. They were convinced that McCormick, despite being a high school dropout, had created his own complex cipher. His family members confirmed that Ricky had been writing these funny little notes since he was a boy, but they had no idea what they meant. They just saw them as his personal, quirky habit. The FBI's theory was that these notes, written just before his death, could hold the key to understanding what happened to him. They might contain the name of his killer or details about the events leading up to his final moments. So, what exactly is on these notes? Let's take a closer look. The first note is more structured, with labeled lines and what looks like lists. You can see things like PRSE and DVSM and repeating patterns of letters and numbers. The second note is even more chaotic, a jumble of characters with brackets and parentheses thrown in. It's a mess of capital letters, lowercase letters, and numbers all mixed together. On the surface, it looks like gibberish. But the FBI and thousands of amateur sleuths who answered the call believe there's a message hidden within. When the FBI released the notes, the internet exploded. Cryptography enthusiasts, puzzle solvers, and armchair detectives from all over the world jumped on the case. Theories began to flood forums and websites. Some thought it was a simple substitution cipher, where each letter stands for another. But simple analysis showed that wasn't the case. The frequency of letters didn't match standard English or any other language. Others suggested it was a complex system based on phonetics, where the letters represented sounds rather than characters. Maybe it was a shorthand that only Ricky understood, a personal language he developed over a lifetime. One popular theory is that the notes are a kind of diary or a reminder list. Perhaps Ricky was involved in something illegal, like drug trafficking, and these were notes about deals, locations, or people. The letters could be initials, and the numbers could represent quantities or addresses. For example, some have speculated that NCBE could stand for no cash being exchanged, or that the jumble of characters represents directions to a meetup spot. But without the key, these are all just guesses. Every attempt to link the notes to street names, license plates, or known criminal slang has led to a dead end. Another fascinating and darker theory is that the notes were written under duress. Could the killer have forced Ricky to write something, perhaps as a taunt to law enforcement? The frantic nature of the second note could support this. Or maybe, in his final moments, realizing his life was in danger, Ricky scribbled this code, hoping someone would find it and bring his killer to justice. It is a haunting thought, a final message from beyond the grave that we just can't understand. The FBI's public plea was a bold move, an admission that they were truly stumped. They hoped that the collective intelligence of the public, or perhaps someone who knew Ricky's secrets, could provide the missing piece of the puzzle. They received thousands of tips and proposed solutions, but none of them have successfully cracked the code in a verifiable way. A few people have claimed to have solved it, presenting elaborate explanations. But these solutions often require huge logical leaps and can't be independently confirmed. A true solution would likely reveal clear, verifiable information, like a name or an address that could be cross-referenced with the case file. So far, nothing has met that standard. Let's consider the man himself, Ricky McCormick. Was he some kind of secret genius, a savant who created an unbreakable code? Or were the notes simply the product of a troubled mind, perhaps influenced by his health problems or mental state? His family described him as street smart, but not book smart. This makes the idea of him creating a professional level cryptographic system seem unlikely. However, a personal, idiosyncratic shorthand is entirely plausible. We all have our own little systems for taking notes. Maybe Ricky's was just an extreme, lifelong version of that. If the key to the cipher was entirely in his mind, based on his own unique logic and life experiences, then it may have died with him. The location where his body was found adds another layer of mystery. It was a remote area, difficult to get to without a car. Did someone drive him there? The autopsy found no signs of trauma, which makes a violent murder less likely. But poisoning or a forced overdose could be possibilities that wouldn't leave obvious marks, especially on a decomposed body. Could he have gone there willingly to meet someone? And if so, why there? The field wasn't connected to any known part of Ricky's life. So here we are, more than 2 decades later. Ricky McCormick's death is still a mystery, and his notes are still one of the FBI's top unsolved ciphers. The case is a perfect storm of unanswered questions. What do the notes say? How did Ricky die? And how did he end up in that cornfield? It is a tragic story of a man whose final words may be locked away forever in a code of his own making. The notes are a tantalizing clue that promises everything but reveals nothing. They sit in an FBI file, a silent testament to a life cut short, and a mystery that continues to baffle the brightest minds. What do you think? Are these notes the key to solving a murder, or just the random jottings of a man with a unique mind? Could you be the one to finally crack the McCormick ciphers? The FBI still has the case open and welcomes any credible insights. This case reminds us that sometimes the most profound secrets are hidden in plain sight on a simple piece of paper, waiting for the right person to come along and read them. Thanks for joining us on Criminal Chronicles. If you found this case as fascinating as we did, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's greatest unsolved mysteries. We'll see you in the next one.